there's the service of Thanksgiving at St. Paul's, and then the often raised for the big vessels going through there. But it's also been a kind of collection point for the tall ships that aren't part of the flotilla, but they are in an area of sail, big sail, for the Queen to witness when she gets down past Tower Bridge. Now that one looks under towed. Right, they had a few problems. Perhaps they just paddlers and rowers in that one said, okay, this has been fun, but you know
We've
what?
got to the tower, we're done. Off with their heads.
All right. Raindrops. Well, that's a really big raindrop hitting the camera lens as we witness the final moments of at least the front end of the flotilla. But it will take a while yet, from big vessels to kayaks. Let's go back down. Heather Hiscox once again. Here's Heather. With the bands playing. Let's see whether we can hear any of this time. Can we hear this? It's a scratch. It's too bad because there's a lot of wonderful music that was scheduled to be played on a variety of the different vessels heading down the Thames. But it's probably, you know, the issue with wind and other things that's costing us that audio of Republican protesters who are gathered near the shore, and they're waving their signs, sort of, you know, time to end the monarchy. But the overwhelming number of people here are very supportive of the celebration that's going on this weekend. Part of the million or so who have lined the shores of the Thames, both sides, for 7+ miles to catch their moment with the Queen on this, her Diamond Jubilee celebration weekend. Shot with all the raindrops on it is the fixed camera at the front end of the Spirit of Chartwell, the oil barge, as it makes its way now with the Queen, as she has been for the last 90 minutes or so, standing steadily and enjoying seemingly every moment of this.
Now, after the Spirit of Chartwell goes under Tower Bridge, it will then turn in midstream to moor, facing upstream, as 70 sailors cheer. I'm sure Adrian Evans, who is on board there, he is the pageant master of this great extravaganza, must be breathing a sigh of relief, because this really has been as spectacular and as wonderful as he said it would be. He said it would be a historic event, unseen ever in history, and it seems to be that way.
I'm sure he'll breathe even easier once she's in the limo and heading back to the palace.
Well, also, you know,
not quite over yet.
No, the protocol has been the whole protocol for anyone involved. They've been given a long list of do's and don'ts, and one of them is that they cannot drink on board. And so they're hoping that there are no wayward captains out there.
I'm surprised she didn't bring one of the corgis. You know?
To nip at the heels,
yeah, I mean,
of all their friends.
The only thing that reminded me of that is reading up, as one does for these programs, on various parts of the history of the royal family. We know she's been always very particular ever since she was a little girl about corgis, the dogs. Her first one was named Susan. I think she had like 30 or so since then, many of which have been related in some way to Susan.
Oh, totally, absolutely. And they've even crossbred the Dachshund and the Corgi to create the Dorgie.
The Dorgie.
So she has 3 Dorgies and 3 Corgis.
But the whiskey story that I was going to mention, the only person that I'm aware of that she had dismissed from his job was a footman at the palace who was caught giving whiskey to one of the corgis. It's not a good thing.
No,
Don't want
absolutely
to do
not.
that. Well, looks like she heard that story because she didn't look very happy that I told it there. Just joking, of course. Now, if you're wondering, Queen Victoria holds the record for the longest time as monarch, 63 years. Elizabeth then is just 3 years behind that at 60. The Queen is the 40th monarch since William the Conqueror in 1066. The Queen now prepping for her departure from the royal barge. Love to know how they're getting that shot. Must be a heck of a crane they've got that camera on. All right, Heather's right down on the shore. Last few hours, it's not meeting the forecasts that many had seen, and clearly has had no impact on the size of the crowds. Well, I can't say that. Maybe they would have been twice as big, but they're pretty big right now. I mean, as you can see in every shot that we show you that has a glimpse of the shoreline of the Thames, it's quite remarkable.
And also, sorry, Peter, also there were people camping out last night the whole way along the Thames, so it didn't stop people, and they talked about how, of course, what is going on across Britain today is the Big Lunch, which was another Jubilee celebration of street parties around the country, and they had over 9,000 road closures, which was bigger than any other royal event, including the wedding of last year.
Yeah, double that of last year. And the road closures are in relation to those street parties. If you're going to have a street party, you've got to get a license from the local council or local police department to allow you to close off the street so you can have your street party. And as Kira says, more than 9,000 applied for. There were about 4,500 last year for the royal wedding. So I guess that says something about the interest on the part of many Brits in celebrating the reign of this monarch. You know, people will try to draw conclusions about whether the monarchy now, what does it mean for the future. Today really is about her.
Absolutely.
This whole weekend has been about her and the thanks of a nation and of many people in the Commonwealth for what she has done in those 60 years. I mean, she's an incredibly popular figure. So you got to be careful about what it is you recognize as being celebrated here. It's her.
Exactly. And also her family celebrating her, which has been wonderful to see. Prince Charles did a great documentary on her. Her children and her grandchildren, Harry and William, have been out embarking on a world tour for very much for her.
Yeah, I want to talk about some of the things we've witnessed on video and just in the last few days. Film and pictures that we've never seen before of the royal family. But let's go back down where Anne-Marie Meadowake is in the, you know, it was roughly the halfway point of the flotilla. It was at the Blackfriars Bridge. Has it all now passed the halfway mark, Anne-Marie?
Peter, you were talking about celebrating the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. We are celebrating in the reign. what's fantastic about this vantage point is you get such a great shot of the river and of the crowds. They are soaking wet, but this is really like a parade. If you've ever watched any local parade in any community or the Santa Claus parade, there's something interesting on every boat to keep people entertained, and they are doing their best to do that. They are tooting and whistling and steam whistles, and we've had bagpipers go through and choirs. You'll see some of that down at Tower Bridge. The crowd, though, is so warm.